Welcome to the Takeover Love Wrestling Reacts. I am Ed. I am joined by Alex, Ectoguy87, and obviously the natural, Astrid Pizarro. Astrid and I are part of the War Report for NXT, so we figured the two of us should definitely try to cover a big show like NXT Takeover. And with JPJ on assignment in Vegas with SummerSlam, you know, the big show, the one that wasn't as good as Takeover, but we'll get into that. So we figured we'd bring a friend in, so we have Alex.
Hey,
Alex, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I feel like I'm in the Iron Man position right now. I've been going at it all week.
There you go. Well, we'll give you some time off coming up in the next, just after this show.
All right.
But speaking of being an Iron Man and wanting to get yourself better and everything else, we obviously have to thank our sponsor, RK Athletics. You can go ahead and talk to them. You can get some personal training. They do virtual. They do in-person, I believe, now. That pandemic is starting to lift restrictions everywhere. So go ahead and check out Rich King and RK Athletics. And you can find them at RK Athletics 1 on most of their social media platforms. I found it tonight. I was so happy. I didn't know
had a little too many like Parrish, huh?
I didn't know where it was yesterday. We already have friends in the chat. We have Cody saying, "What's up, team? Great show tonight." I wholeheartedly agree. This was a fantastic show from top to bottom. I think it's one of the best takeovers there's ever been. I'll be honest. I was invested in most of these matches. None of the matches underdelivered. Tom and I had some thoughts about the main event, which we'll get into, because I think I want to see if you guys saw the same thing that Tom saw, that he brought to my attention. It was noticeable from there. But we're going to start where we always should start, anytime we're talking about NXT, with going to the moon and Cameron Grimes.
If I can interrupt you, I think we should start at the pre-show.
All right, fine. Let's be honest. NXT didn't put a whole lot of effort into the pre-show, so I wasn't going to either.
Okay, I get you there.
But we can talk about it. So Ridge Holland had a great match on the pre-show, and by match I mean squash. Now, granted, it wasn't a Bianca squash, but it was a squash nonetheless. Yeah. Trey Baxter didn't get a whole lot in, and Trey Baxter was defeated by Ridge Holland, heading into Ridge Holland's big match this week on NXT TV against Timothy Thatcher.
Yep.
Alex, what do you think about this match?
Again, like you said, this was very much a squash match, but it was definitely a highlight for Ridge Holland going into the match with Thatcher, and that's gonna be definitely a hard-hitting match. In my opinion, I think Holland is he's got like a build like an early Lesnar kind of going on. You know what I mean? Like he's built like that, and I think that if they run with him, he could be potentially a breakout star in the future.
Absolutely. And speaking of breakout stars, we did have Trey Baxter in this match, although you wouldn't know he's a breakout star considering the way he got squashed.
He kind of got lost in the mix with me. Like he just looked like every other kind of high flyer, and he got lost in the mix with me definitely.
Now, I wanted to bring up this comment before we get going. We have the Real Tight Spot saying that he met Spencer and JPJ. Congratulations on being out in Vegas and meeting the boys. That's one thing you have up on almost all of the Love Wrestling crew, especially the three of us here, who have unfortunately never gotten the opportunity to meet Spencer and JPJ. I'm looking forward to having a beer with JPJ.
I don't think Spencer's real. I've talked to him, but I've never seen him, so I don't think he's real. It's a computer program.
We also have Cody jumping in, seeming like Ridge is en route for a big future push. Feels like he's being groomed to be a champion. I wholeheartedly agree. They're tanking the McAfee group thing that they were giving him when they were going to have him work against Adam Cole, because that's where that was headed. Mm-hmm. But then he got hurt in that match. And so now they're giving him that spot again, which I really love. Cody saying he has met Spencer. So, Cody, good for you. Oh. Again, a little bit of leg up on the rest of us. So you can confirm for us that Spencer is real. By the way, hi, Spencer. I think you might actually be watching tonight. So we're going to make sure we keep all of our comments to ourselves like we did last night.
We're going to make sure this show is neat.
I'll keep you guys out of the office, okay?
And then the Real Tight Spot talking about, the Trey Baxter match, saying Blake Christian, FTW. I agree. Blake Christian is fantastic. I'm looking forward to him as he keeps getting to go forward, because I think they're going to find something good for him. It's just that right now, this breakout tournament, as we've said on last week's show, really hasn't done what it needed to do in comparison to the other one. Astrid, Ridge Holland versus, I almost called him Blake Christian again. Trey
I was thinking you were going to say that.
I was going to say Blake Christian.
Yeah, no, I really like. I'm like it's just a big fast match. So I'm like, there's not much to say about it, but obviously it makes Rich look good and it keeps him going to where he left off. I feel like what I liked is like they didn't make him start from the bottom. They kept him going where he was before the injury, which I really liked about it.
Yeah, I think NXT's done a real good job of this. And speaking of NXT, if anybody hasn't seen it, BT Sport has it. It's the Ariel Helwani interview with Nick Khan. I haven't seen all of it. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've seen the beginning where Ariel says that basically the reason why he's getting to sit down with Nick Khan is because Nick Khan was his agent before Nick Khan left CAA. So it's important to note that he said, I think it's important to know, no real tight spot. We're not booing Nick Khan just yet. Let's give him a chance. Let's hear him out in the interview. It's about 20 minutes, and I really think it's going to be worth people's time to at least hear the man talk. Let's give him the opportunity to defend himself and say some things, and let's see what happens. There could be some good information out of that. If not, you're finally getting to see and hear the man, which is an important thing.
Now, Ed, now we can go to the moon.
Yes, and we can go to the moon because we have a new $1 million champion, Cameron Grimes.
Yes.
Him and Mr. DiBiase got the win tonight, and Mr. DiBiase does not have to become the butler for LA Knight, or as I kept calling him, LA Drake in the watch along, as I kept wanting to say Eli Knight and LA Drake, which both would be great names, by the way. Oh, we got the real tight spot. No more time, no rebranding, don't make cookie cutter stuff. I want to stay out of Spencer's office, but you've said it, so I'll leave it be. But no, I agree.
Thank you for saying for us.
Cookie cutter stuff is bad. I agree. But let's let the man say his thing. Let's see what he's got to say, and let's go from there. We got Eli Drake is better than LA Knight. Eli Knight is better than LA Knight. I agree.
I like
wholeheartedly agree. I promise we're eventually going to get to the match, but we have some comments. The real tight spot coming in for us. TV 14 is better than TV PG. I agree, but I don't think the TV PG is hurting the product as much as people think it is. I don't think that the rating is the rating audience level is hurting the program as much as people think it is. But LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. Fantastic match. Interesting finish. Referees, again, they really need to start learning how to look where stuff is going on, because that was a long time that referee found somewhere convenient to look.
Oh, yeah.
But Astrid, I know you're a big fan of Cameron Grimes and the LA Knight stuff. What did you think of this match?
I loved how it told the story we all wanted to watch from the beginning. I liked the back and forth that they had. There was a spot, though, that I put it on my notes because I didn't want to forget about it. Towards the beginning where Ted DiBiase gets involved, I really thought Cameron was getting Ted out of the way. And when I see him, as he helped him do the move, I was like, this is brilliant. I love it. I love how he was involved through the match as well. Obviously, the only part that was like kind of iffy was the part with the title and how the referee went over there with Grimes. And I was like, yeah, that kind of like cut me out from where I was at, how concentrated I was in the match. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It told the story that we all been wanting to watch and hear from them. So I really liked it. It makes me wonder for LA Knight, like, what is his next move? Are they going to put him in the main roster, or what's his position in NXT afterwards? Because I feel like he probably won't be involved in the NXT championship, or so maybe the North American, but I don't know. It made me wonder about it.
What would you do with LA Knight if you were handed the book and you say you can put him on Raw, you can put him on SmackDown, you can leave him in NXT? If you've got LA Knight, where are you sending him?
Oh, that's a tough one, but I'm like, at least I like how SmackDown has more concentration on the roster, so I would probably put him on SmackDown to begin with.
I'm just going to throw an idea out there because me and Tom talked about it, and I said Raw. But think about this. Tom brought up this bad idea, but I think it'd be great for at least a little while. The Miz and LA Knight.
The money makers.
Yeah.
Like, talk about the promo segments. Now, granted, Tom also put this in with a 1-year feud between the two because WWE doesn't know how to end things. But I still think after a year, it would still be entertaining because these two are incredible on the microphone.
I also think it also like LA Knight and Baron Corbin with his current storyline as well. That will be interesting with the money factor in between there.
Yeah. They would be feuding, and in my mind, I would have them feud. You don't have to have a heel. You don't have to have a face.
Mm-hmm.
Just have two entertaining assholes. Oops. Just have two entertaining jerks.
There's our one.
People.
Just have two entertaining jerks on the microphone and make the fans just love to hate both of them in the most wonderful way possible. Alex, what did you think of the match? And then where do you think you would send LA Knight?
It was definitely hot from beginning to start. This was definitely the feel-good match we all wanted to see. And, yeah, there were definitely good spots in this match. There was definitely a spot where, DiBiase had LA Knight on the outside. He gave him the punch while the referee was distracted with the belt. And then they kind of had that little bit of a cluster with getting the belt back in, then putting him into the $1 Million Dream. I think if they took out the punch, just left in the $1 Million Dream, because they'd been working that move the whole night from beginning to the end of it, and then going to the finish from there would have been a lot better. It'd been a little more tighter and cleaner. But yeah, this was definitely a hot match, and I don't know where exactly I would like to see him. Maybe staying on NXT a little bit longer, maybe going to the main roster. But I do have a question.
Yeah.
Could we see another match between Grimes and Knight, where Grimes gets his just desserts and he becomes the butler, so to speak, for Grimes?
Astrid, what do you think? And then I'll go.
I'm torn about that one just because I feel like the story was already told and I feel like a close chapter between them in this match. So I wouldn't necessarily put them in another match, but it will also be interesting to see LA Knight as the butler instead, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I wholeheartedly have the same idea. I like the idea that they've told a 3-act story, and that Cameron Grimes is the conquering hero and he's won the match. And now LA Knight can go do something else wherever it might be. And Cameron Grimes can start, working with other talent. I mean, imagine a guy like Carmelo Hayes or Trey Baxter or people like that in a feud like this. Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, there's all kinds of great people that you can put in a feud with either LA Knight or with Cameron Grimes to really start putting talent over and making some good stuff happen. So while I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them wrestle again, they've had 3 fantastic matches, but I'd like to see like the old school takeovers. Takeover comes, it kind of ends, and it moves on. Cody has a great idea. LA Knight with Swerve. I like it, but I think we've got a couple more months with Swerve being a little preoccupied. Because I think, like Astrid said last week on the War Report, I think that's heading all the way to War Games.
Yeah, I was thinking about having him in the North American Championship too, but I'm like, yeah, I feel like this stuff with Legado is not done, so LA Knight needs something in between there if he were to go against Swerve.
And there's plenty of people on the roster. There's plenty of people we can put in there. You could honestly send him to NXT UK for a couple months. Let him go do a filming schedule there and then come back and take some time off and just work a filming schedule in NXT UK. Imagine him working with the likes of Jack Stars or working with the likes of Tyler Bate or Trent Seven, people like that. Like, there's some ultra talented people over there, and you've had some people coming over from NXT UK, which we'll speak about in just a moment. But, it'd be nice to see some of the NXT talent go over too. And it'd be a great place for LA Knight to get over. So I think there's some definite opponents over there for him. Speaking of potential NXT, former NXT UK people, we now get to the women's title match, which I thought was an interesting card choice to put this on second. It definitely set a tone that this match is going top heavy, and the card is going top heavy, and we're putting our 3 big matches 1, 2, 3 at the very end, which is an ambitious choice considering you have a small crowd there, but I loved it. Raquel and Dakota had a really fun and interesting match. There were a couple of oh my god spots where Dakota, as Tom said, was saved by the bottom rope because her neck would have landed on that awkward incline between the ring apron and the stage not quite being just tall enough for it. And there was a little lip there, but thankfully her head bounced off the bottom rope, which is not something you normally get to say. That being said, these 2 girls went out there and tore the house down. They had a great match. Alex, what did you think?
One thing I did enjoy about this was in the very beginning when they were doing the introductions, they kind of had this over-the-shoulder POV of the opponent, who they were announcing. I kind of enjoyed that. It was very kind of cinematic, and it was different to see that in a wrestling perspective. But as far as the match goes itself, I do feel that maybe this did die down the crowd a little bit, and maybe we did hear a few more chants for Dakota than we did hear Rigel. But they did bring it back near the end of the match, and they did bring back the fans with them. A couple awkward spots in this, but a lot more very interesting spots. Like there was one where Dakota goes for the kick behind the head, and Raquel caught her and picked up right into a powerbomb. I thought that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen between these two women. But yeah, it was hot near the end, and did what it was supposed to, put Raquel over.
Astrid?
Yeah, I really like the match. One of the parts or the aspects, I guess, of the match that I really enjoy the most is at the beginning how Dakota has like Raquel's number, and it just shows how in the promo package and even the promos in between in the rivalry that we've gotten, how Dakota always says I know your moves because I taught you these things, but you don't know all of mine. So I like how she was like at the beginning it was all Dakota, and like Raquel didn't get like that chance to really give much, and Dakota was always hitting her, and Raquel was taking, or it took her a while to counteract any of the moves that Dakota did. I really like that, and I also like what Alex was pointing out about the point of view when they announced them. I thought that was interesting having it from the other person's back. I really like that shot. I don't know, it looked nice to me, at least when we watched or while I was watching it. But yeah, I like the back and forth. I really, really thought that Dakota was gonna win this match. Though I think there were so many people like behind her that I really thought this was it, and I was hoping that was it. And then obviously it wasn't. But then I'm like, we won't get them like wrestling each other again. I was hoping if she lost, at least to get a rematch and get a second one, maybe have Dakota win. But obviously, clearly, but what happened afterwards, that's not gonna be happening.
No, and I mean I think Dakota's destined for Raw. I think she's
Mm-hmm.
heading up to the Red Brand, and that could be interesting. Dakota Kai versus Nikki Ash, Dakota Kai versus Rhea Ripley again. I'd be in for either of those matches. Those could be fantastic. Um, but then, yeah, like we said, we and a little bit of splash of NXT UK as she's now on NXT Prime. You can call it NXT USA. We have Kaylee Ray, KLR as I like to call her, so I don't get her confused with Kylie Ray, who's working in NWA. But Kaylee Ray, the one of the longest reigning champions in a long time because of the pandemic and NXT UK not working. But she went through the entire NXT UK female roster until Miko Satomura came in. And that is going to be a fantastic feud. And it's a great spot to put Kaylee Ray on the map right away. We have Cody talking about our earlier point. Where does Cameron go from here? I think Cameron Grimes starts working with some younger talent and starts getting some of them a spotlight. And just to go back to that question because it was there, but we just started to transition. And then he also says Raquel versus KLR is going to be a fire match. Dakota versus Shayna is a cool rerun possibility. Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I thought about that one too.
There's plenty of things. Cameron Grimes versus Joe Gacy, the real tight spot, bringing up the where does Cameron go from here? That could be fun. That could be a lot of fun talking about the breakout tournament. What do you guys think? Kylie, I almost did it.
There you go.
KLR and NXT. She's the ultra heel. There is fantastic women for her to work with. Is it going to work?
I'll let you go ahead, Astrid.
I mean, I don't see why not. There's so many possibilities now with her in there, and I think it's a good timing with the draft coming up as well because we don't know how many girls we're going to be losing from NXT. So it'll be nice to have that star power in there to begin with while the draft is happening soon.
Yeah, Alex.
Yep, I've unfortunately heard a lot of good things. Haven't seen much of it. So from what I've been hearing though, she's one of the top stars to watch out for. I mean, like you said, she was longest reigning NXT Women's Champion, at least through the pandemic. So there's something to say about that. And she ran through the roster up there. So only time will tell what she's capable of for me to see at least and where she's going to go from here.
And going from here, we're going to continue moving on. We then got one of the greatest matches I think NXT has put on in a long time. I know you guys weren't super familiar with both of these guys as you guys aren't avid UK watchers. I'm not an avid UK watcher, but I've sought out Walter matches before, and Ilya Dragunov is just an unbelievable, charismatic presence on a television screen. And these two guys went to war. in a match that roughly resembled what they did in front of no crowd. And this was, as the crowd chanted, "This is awesome." It was fantastic from start to finish. The look on Ilya's chest is absolutely not the look of a guy who you think just won the UK champion, toppling a man who held that title for, I want to say, over 1,000 days. I'm checking it now.
870, I think I saw the number.
Is it?
Something like that.
I'm going to check it right now. But while I check it, Alex,
Yes.
talk to me about your first impressions of
Oh boy, this was. So I love technical wrestling. Aside from that, I now love catch and shoot style wrestling. This was so hard hitting, and it made me believe that these two were in a throw down legitimate fight. I was with the crowd. I want to see these guys fight forever. Indeed, I was on the edge of my seat. They were just not holding back against each other, and it made you believe, like, these two, like I said, I'm rewinding over my words, like, it made you believe they were in a legitimate fight for this title and against each other. And now it makes me want to go back and watch their first match, and it makes me hope, if I tune into NXT UK one day, that this is what we get, because this is what I want more of.
NXT UK is a wonderful product. It's not as easy to watch as WWE. It's a very taped product, especially right now with the restrictions of pandemic, especially overseas. That being said, there are some super talented young wrestlers over there. There's some super talented English wrestlers who I was only familiar with because of watching things like What Culture Pro Wrestling. And being part of that audience and watching the rise of that and seeing a lot of these names through that made it fantastic. Astrid was, however, correct. 870 days for Walter as champion. So what a reign, what a reign. Considering now this title, Ilya Dragunov is the fourth champion for this title in its reign. And we have a reign of 125 days, which is the shortest reign, not counting the current reign because it just started. We then had Pete Dunne, who reigned for 685 days. And then Walter reigning for 870 days. That is an unbelievable amount of numbers.
Yeah.
For one title, 4 champions, 3 prior to tonight.
That's I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's very early days wrestling, Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund style booking. Like, it makes you believe that these guys can be champions and are going to hold on to these belts for a long time.
I just want to bring this up because I just want to mention this. Probably the number might have been inflated a little bit because of COVID. But let's remember, Pete Dunne's reign, COVID-free reign, was 685 days. And he lost it to Walter after beating almost every and anybody. So yes, while his reign may have been inflated a little bit because of COVID, it's not necessarily that it wouldn't have gone 870 days with him battering everybody pillar to post throughout the entire roster. Astrid, what did you think of this match?
Yeah, I obviously known of Walter, but it's the first time that I see him wrestle, and Ilya too. So I was hooked. It motivated me to watch NXT UK because I was glued. I did like at the beginning though, where Dragunov is trying to chop. He's chopping the Walter, but then he doesn't let Walter do it to him. He avoids him at the beginning. I'm like, how long is that gonna last? And then when I see his chest, I'm like, holy crap! But yeah, it was. I don't know. And then his facial expression when he won, it just I'm like, I want him to have a long reign too. So I'm hoping he does as well.
I mean, this was 5 in my mind. This is 5-star match worthy. Meltzer, the first time this match came around, Meltzer said he almost didn't rate the match because of how violent it was. And I kept telling people, if you've not seen the first match, you're not going to be ready for the level of violence that you can do blood-free for the most part. Like, there's a little bit of blood, but that blood is accidental, hard way on random parts of the body. It's not bladed and like blood covering the face kind of stuff. This is just pure outlet, pub brawl, brawling violence. And it was absolutely fantastic.
I love it.
And it was the third match of the night. And then you say, well, what can follow a match like that?
Mhm.
I've got the answer. It is 3 stages of hell. And 3 stages of hell was Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly 3, the Undisputed Final. And the Undisputed Final included a traditional wrestling match in the first fall, and then it was a street fight in the second fall, and if necessary, obviously necessary, was going to be our steel cage match finale. But Alex, we have a comment for you from the Real Tight Show. And he asks, Real Tight Spot says, Alex, you look like you would be a true brawler in the ring. Have you ever wrestled?
I have, actually. Active from 2005 to 2013. And I would love to get back in even more in the future. So we'll see where it goes.
Would you have wrestled in that match in Ilya Dragunov's stead? If they told you, hey, you're going out there and you're going to wrestle Walter, you're going to win, we're going to give you the title, but would you have gone to the pain and the violence?
Oh hell yeah! First of all, I love a challenge, and I don't want to make this about me. Don't get me wrong. I love a challenge, and having that kind of match and being able to withstand that much pain, especially like a wrestler like Walter. I only began to see him when I stepped away from the ring in live action, and I was just so impressed with him. And there's a handful of people, quite a handful of people that I would love to try and have matches with, but Walter would definitely be one. I think I can learn from him, and we could have one hell of a match. He would beat the holy hell out of me, but by the end of it, I'd be like, hey, I got to wrestle Walter. I learned something. I had this experience, and it would have been amazing for me.
It's always good to bring up the fact that if parts of our team, I always rely on this when I'm doing a show with Parrish. Every now and then I like to say, as a former wrestler, he's a current wrestler. You're a former wrestler who could still get back into it. So we'll see what happens.
Put a little asterisk by that former. We'll see. We'll see one day.
You've been in the ring.
There you go.
You know how it works. You know how all that stuff works. I often ask Parrish, does this make sense from the worker's point of view? Do some of these things make sense?
Yeah.
So 3 stages of hell. Did the layout of this match make sense to you as a worker to have a traditional match, a street fight, and then a steel cage?
As a worker, yes, because you always want to see that escalation. You're not going to just beat the hell out of each other with weapons the first match, or even in the cage match, beat the hell out of each other, and then kind of downgrade from there. It had to be the straight up match into the no holds barred into the steel cage match.
What did you guys think of the rather quick roll-up finish for the first fall where Kyle O'Reilly got one over on Adam Cole, and Adam Cole seemed dumbfounded that he got rolled up for a 3 within the first few minutes of the match, it seemed like?
Astrid, I'll let you go with this one.
It honestly caught me so off guard that I missed it for a moment and had to rewind back a couple seconds. I'm like, did that just happen? And then I hear the announcer and I'm like, no, there's no way. I'm like, is you sure? And yeah, I had to rewind it while I was watching the match. And I'm like, wow, that was super quick. I was not expecting it to be that quick. I thought the match would have lasted a little bit longer before we got to the second stage. But I guess because obviously we had the other 2 matches that were more grueling than the traditional match, maybe they wanted to get that one over with and get to the, obviously the hard part of the match.
All right, and Alex, I'm going to go with you for the second fall. Then we get to the street fight, and this lasted a little bit longer, a little bit of brutality here. What did you think of this fall?
This was definitely an interesting fall. I mean, we saw this in their first unsanctioned match, if you want to call it that. So we kind of knew what to expect. I popped when I saw a certain lockjaw applied to Kyle O'Reilly, and then changed over to use a kendo stick. I was like, okay, I see you. I see you, Adam Cole. I know what's going on here. Maybe that's a sign of what's to come for Adam Cole in the future. But yeah, definitely a hard-hitting match. I loved seeing the selling from Kyle O'Reilly, especially the midsection area. Yeah. And I loved one spot in particular where Adam Cole set up the chair. Kyle is sent towards the chair, but he ducks out of the way, but he still ends up taking the post to the midsection. I thought that was great storytelling. I thought that was great selling all around. And I kind of want to get to the steel cage match portion of this because I do have something to say about that finish.
All right, and I'm just going to go with one thing that I really enjoyed about that second fall was the fact that they brought back the chair spot from Adam Cole versus Aleister Black, now Malachi Black, when he did the double chairs, but the chairs are pointed with the points touching each other as opposed to being apart, which I'm assuming, Alex, I don't know if you've gone through any chairs, but I'm assuming going through the seat of the folding chair is a whole lot easier than going onto the tip of the chair that's at the top, right?
Oh, most definitely. I haven't gone through any chairs myself, gone through plenty of tables, but no chairs. But yeah, you could definitely imagine that there's very little give to the point of those chairs.
And I love... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I loved Kyle's selling at that point where they had the doctors out there and Kyle's like not getting back up and Adam brings him into the ring to begin the steel cage third fall. I think that was great. Cody coming in here saying, I love the slide under the rope into the post spot. It was great. Adam's selling of that spot was also fantastic where he's like, that's not what I planned, but yay, I'll take it.
We'll take it.
And since Alex wants to talk about it, we get to the steel cage. Alex, what were your thoughts on the steel cage? Because you said you have some.
Yeah, like this. So I'll be honest with you. I was a little away. I had to take care of a couple things and go say hey to the wife in the bedroom. But what I did see of this match was very interesting. We all saw the end of it. Cole takes the handcuffs and handcuffs Kyle to the ropes. And he's wedged in between the ropes and the steel cage. He gives him a nasty super kick. And then Kyle falls through the ropes, and he catches him in the leg lock, I believe it was. And we have the scene. He's got weapons all around him, but he taps out. And it's very interesting to see that. Like, if it was me, and we're telling this blood feud, I'm not tapping that quick. I've got you up against the ropes. You're handcuffed. I'm grabbing this kendo stick. And I'm sure a lot of people were thinking that because we got the chant that we got during the match. So I'm wondering if maybe they lost the key somewhere, or they were told to take home early, or any number of things. I just thought out of everything that happened tonight, that was the one thing that I was like, I wish they'd have done that differently.
Astrid?
At first, I would like to point out that not only did we get Adam Cole doing the log drop, but we also got last night Edge doing the Glam Slam. So I love that. That was one of my favorite things, and they tweeted about it as well, which I thought was super interesting.
Has anybody seen Jordan Grace's tweet about this? So somebody tweeted in general to Jordan Grace about Jonathan Gresham still being the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, and she goes, "Yeah, but you know what? You have Edge out here doing the Glam Slam. These men got to step up their game to show their women how much they care." And she's like, "I'm looking at you, Gresh." And I'm just like, oh, I love it because Jordan Grace and Gresham are such a cute couple that so many people don't know are a couple, and they are fantastic. So it's nice to see Adam Cole seeing that and going, all right, cool. Show her how much I care. Lockjaw. Got it.
Yeah, and I like how at the time that he did it, she tweeted "Baby" at the same time without actually saying anything else about it. And I was like, I love what he did there, Britt. I love that part. But yeah, I really like the match itself. I felt like I would have wanted it to last longer than it did because I'm like, it was going so good, and I feel like it just went, it's done. But I was really surprised that obviously he tapped out. And another point that I thought was interesting was seeing the Young Bucks bio on Twitter after the match, which I was sending in the chat. They put a YouTube link, and when you click on the link, I'll read off the title of the video that they point out. It goes and it says, the most infamous seances in history. And I'm like, I like what you guys did there too.
please.
So we got Cody saying great storytelling in the cage. Adam had the chance to escape, gave it up for a Panama Sunrise. He could have escaped again after the handcuff, but stayed to inflict more damage, and the way they worked the leverage advantage of using the handcuffs to tighten the heel hook was a good enough explanation for him. I wholeheartedly agree with both of you on this one. I can see the worker's point of view going, I have all these weapons around. I should use the weapons. They maybe should have tried to use the weapons, and maybe he can't bring it up to get the swing off, and maybe that's when he realizes that he has to tap. There may have been a little bit more to it. My biggest thing about this match comes post-match. So the match ends, the cage goes up, and Adam Cole is very quickly sent up to the top of the ramp into the back, and they have Kyle celebrating the ring briefly before cutting to a video package. This, in my mind, is one of two things. Either he has re-signed and the thank you Adam chants are going to be coming in the break because they don't want to have it on TV, or They're not sure if he's still with them,
Mhm.
and they didn't want to have the chance for the AEW chance.
Yeah.
If he was heading out that way.
Yep.
I don't think Adam would have done anything to say it. I don't think he would have pulled a Bret Hart and started writing AEW in the air.
Yeah.
But I think that they were very key to make sure that Adam Cole didn't get a whole lot of empty time after the match on his own.
Yeah, I was looking
So-
at the Fightful report, and at least during Takeover, and that we're saying that obviously after the extension in July/August, like he hasn't signed anything else. So I thought that was interesting and made me wonder if that affected the result of the match as well, because they probably didn't want him to have that win and obviously give the fans the opportunity to speak up on how they felt. So maybe that's why. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that could be why maybe they ended it the way they did and take him out as quickly as they did as well.
Mm-hmm. And Cody, reading our minds from our pre-show chat that we were talking about with something else that's still a little top secret in the Love Wrestling world, but talking about pulling a click with a cage match goodbye. I mean, that would have been interesting if they would have had Kyle and Adam hug it out in the ring and do a version of a curtain call as Adam heads potentially off to AEW. Or, in my mind, where I think is more likely, tomorrow night pops up on Raw, hopefully with the Shock the System music, I would hope. I think that would be great. AJ Styles comes out and starts running down Omos. Omos beats him up and walks away. And then all of a sudden you hear, Shock the System. And all of a sudden out comes Adam Cole. And you have Adam Cole face-to-face with AJ Styles. That could be fun. But we then move to a backstage segment with Mackenzie Mitchell talking to a very much dazed and confused Ilya Dragunov with battered meat chest and bruises everywhere on his neck, on his chest. It's hard to look at him in that way and think of him as the winner of that match as he's holding that title on his shoulder. And he cuts again a really good promo for a guy who's Russian is your first language, doesn't speak seemingly a ton of English, but really gets a really good promo across that you could put on any main roster and you could put him out there in front of any crowd and he's not going to get the what chance because the guy can cut a promo and he's charismatic. He's amazingly intense, he's charismatic, and I love this guy. I want to see more of him. I'm sad he's locked over in NXT UK where nobody really watches.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we then get to our main event of the evening. Samoa Joe back in the ring. And it was joyous. And the crowd is chanting Joe, Joe, Joe. And of course, they're not chanting for Samoa Joe. They're chanting happy birthday for our Mighty Joe, who had his birthday yesterday. So again, as I haven't been able to say it on the air, as some of you probably did this morning or on some of the other shows, a happy belated birthday to our Love Wrestling Mighty Joe. Happy birthday, good sir. I hope it was an enjoyable weekend for you between Friday night with Rampage and CM Punk, all the way to Ilya and Kaylee Ray tonight. That being said, we have Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross. And this was a really good match, probably one of Kross's best matches. But again, not hugely surprising considering he's in there with Samoa Joe. Alex, what do you have to say about this main event?
Well, I mean, so once again, unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of this. I was listening. I was setting us up. Whoa.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I put a comment.
Oh, well, there we go. I was getting us set up for the stream tonight, so I was a little bit preoccupied at my computer. But I know by the end of it, Joe went over and is now the NXT champion once again for the third time and the only third-time NXT champion in history. It's going to be interesting to see where they go next, especially with Kross. I obviously think he's going to go to Raw and continue his little bit of a feud with Hardy. But I'm going to want to see where Joe is going to go from here.
Astrid, your thoughts on this match, but also your thoughts on, again, the crowd was adamant about it tonight again, the missing of Scarlett.
Yeah.
Scarlett has, since he's been on the main roster, we have not seen Scarlett on NXT version either. Scarlett being missing. Is this potentially the story they're telling that Kross might need Scarlett to help contain all of the crossness of Kross?
First, I wanted to point out, because I don't know if you missed that part, the promo what we got from Legado backstage. I got so excited when I saw them because I was like, oh, they're going to put this on TakeOver just like last minute. And I was like, dang it, it's not happening. But yeah, I really like the promo backstage. And then going to this match, I noticed at first they went to the "We Want Scarlet" chants, and then they went to the Hardy chants as well as before the match started, which I thought was super interesting. I'm like, even though it already happened how many weeks ago, people are still chanting Hardy whenever Cross is out there. So I'm like, people are not forgetting about that anytime soon, was what it seems like. But yeah, it makes me wonder what they're gonna do with Scarlet, because if they're gonna wait for her to be like join him and like have him win because of her, or what are they gonna do with her, because she hasn't done anything in NXT aside from being by his side. So it'll be interesting. Do they keep her in NXT, make her do something different, or do they put her in the main roster eventually with him as well? Because I'm like, I miss her next to him. I'm like, the entrance is not the same without her. That's it felt weird seeing him walk by himself. But overall, I did enjoy the match. I did like another part was Joe's facial expressions at first when he gets getting frustrated with Cross, and you get so he's like I need to do something else to like get him over, and I need to do something else, and I could see like his frustration in his face. But I did another thing that I really enjoyed is like the crowd was so behind this whole takeover. I thought maybe they would end up like SummerSlam going like up and down, because you never know the order of the card. But I liked how the crowd was so into everything. And I thought maybe by the end of the match, like towards the end of the match, they will die down, but they didn't. They were still chanting for Joe most of the time, but they were still chanting and active through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a very over crowd. Now, one of the things that Tom noticed, and I'm going to bring it up to you guys, because there was also another return tonight in this main event match. We had the return of the Muscle Buster for the first time since a long time, and possibly the last time I remember seeing it was the Tyson Kidd incident.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyson is okay now, and he's recovering, and hopefully he continues to do great things with that women's division on Raw as he leads them and trains them and helps make them look as good as they are. But the end spot of the Muscle Buster was surprising, but it's also easy to see with Cross coming off the top rope. That being said, there was a moment in this match where Joe tries to do a scoop slam, Randy Orton style slam, and doesn't get Cross all the way over, and Cross lands on his head. But from there, the rest of the match, Samoa Joe's holding his head.
Yep.
Now, granted, Cross is the one who got spiked,
Mm-hmm.
but Joe kept holding his head. And you could see it, especially at the end of the match. You could see that Joe was really dazed and looked a little confused.
Yeah.
I really hope he hasn't gotten himself concussed on the first night out.
Yeah.
NXT is going to be good for him because you can have him in the ring without really doing anything. You can keep him safe from concussions by doing attacks or doing promos and not having to have him be in a match. But I really, really hope that this isn't the beginning of the end for Joe again, with him getting hurt one more time with a concussion. But I did want to make sure I bring up that he did have that dazed and confused look in his eyes. But Samoa Joe is the NXT World Champion. This is fantastic. What do you guys think is next for Samoa Joe? I have my obvious hope, but what do you guys think? Alex, I'll start with you.
Well, hopefully not a visit to the doctor's office. That's for sure. I did notice that he was looking a little rocked at there near the end. And I would hope that it was more selling on his end than anything else. But for the future of Mr. Joe himself and the NXT Championship, yeah, I'm ready. I mean, I don't see any one direction. I mean, we could talk about a Kyle O'Reilly versus Samoa Joe, and we could talk about maybe Johnny Gargano or even Rich Holland or anybody right now. But we'll have to wait and see.
Astrid?
Yeah, at first, just like Cody, I was thinking Pete Dunne will be my first one, and then Gargano will be my next choice. But what I love is like there's so many guys right now that could be against Joe. There's so many possibilities; they're endless for me. So it's nice to see him being champion, because we don't know who's going to be next aside from maybe Dunne, obviously, and Gargano. But it'll be interesting to see who they pick and who they give the opportunity. Plus, obviously, I know it will be a long shot, but who knows who the breakout star of the tournament is? The winner, who it'll be. So if they decide to face Joe, that's another big opportunity for whoever wins that match.
Yeah, and we have that final match this week. It's Odyssey Jones versus Carmelo Hayes. Maybe Carmelo Hayes, if God forbid something bad has happened to Joe and they need some time, you could flop that title right onto Carmelo Hayes and do a short stint with him as champion. Have a shock moment where Carmelo Hayes comes out and shocks Joe and wins the match, and then you can have him lose it to a more established star in a great match like a Pete Dunne or a Johnny Gargano. My other thing is, we talked about him earlier, and we said what was next for him. If we're talking heels, what about What about LA Knight?
LA Knight, yeah.
LA Knight versus Samoa Joe. That could be some interesting ones. Cody here talking about Carmelo Hayes bring that opportunity on Cameron Grimes. Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes, $1 million title. I mean, Christian Casanova with that title makes a whole lot of sense. So,
I see. To me, that's kind of like winning the Money in the Bank and then cashing in for the tag titles. You have the opportunity to go for the heavyweight title. Use it for the heavyweight title. You know what I'm saying? Don't squander it. I mean, that's in the scenario that whoever wins the Money in the Bank can cash in on whoever he wants to, and not what we know to be now as the heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and Cody again says, I prefer Odyssey Jones to use to cash in on Joe over Carmelo. I'm a Boston born and bred guy. I've been watching, as he was known here, Christian Casanova, Carmelo Hayes. I've been watching him forever. I would love to see him have that opportunity. I want to see him do well there. So I want to see him win as much as they can. So that's why I root so much for Carmelo Hayes. And he says, didn't the last breakout winner use it on the North American title? No. The last winner of this was Jordan Miles, who is now no longer with the company after the T-shirt debacle. And and he used it on Adam Cole when Adam Cole was the world champion. So because it's been that long since we had a breakout tournament. But yes, it was Jordan Miles, and it was against Adam Cole where he did lose. That being said, sorry.
No, I was thinking something similar to Cody. Like I thought Odyssey going against Joe would have been good, but at the same time, if Carmelo wins a match like that, the crowd is already behind Carmelo. So if he ever wins like a surprise match like that, I cannot imagine how the CWC will react to him winning the title like that.
And Samoa Joe's a guy who doesn't need that title to be relevant. Like you can tell so many stories with Samoa Joe and NXT and not have to have that title on him. And he says, all right, Miles. Oh, it didn't show. There it goes. But I mean, it was a long time ago, so I don't blame you for forgetting, especially with the winner and the way everything turned out after that with Jordan Miles and Smiles and all that fun stuff. But this was a fantastic takeover. I don't want to take up too much time tonight because we're all tired. It's been a busy week of wrestling. I mean, Alex has been like I said earlier, he's been our Iron Man. He's been on probably every show. I think you were on the Rampage show, right?
Rampage, NXT, Dynamite, Sunday Brunch. I think we did your reacts yesterday.
Yeah, you did the reacts yesterday.
We did SummerSlam reacts last night. And yeah, I'm ready to go to bed.
So with that, we're not going to take too much longer. It was a great show tonight. It was a fun thing. I wanted to do a react just because I didn't want to have to lump this in on a War Report. I didn't really want to think that would be, we have this audience, we have this time, we should just use it and make sure that we can react to a great show, especially a great show like this. So that being said, I'm going to let my friends plug their stuff that they got coming up, and we're going to start with Alex.
No. Ladies first.
Ladies first. All right, first. We're going to go to Cody first before we go to our ladies. So you have big NXT to Raw debut predictions tomorrow to close. Astrid, since we're doing ladies first, big NXT to Raw debut predictions for tomorrow night. I'm going to give you the big screen, and you can do this, and then you can plug.
I could be between like Adam Cole and maybe LA Knight because I feel like there's nothing else for them in the NXT. I mean, LA Knight, there's some possibilities, but I feel like there's not much going on for him. But I think Adam Cole will be like my number one choice for Raw tomorrow, if anything.
All right.
And for the plug, well, I'll be on the War Report for NXT on Tuesday as usual. And if you check out my Twitter, Astro Pizarro, like it's there. I was on the WrestleBlog podcast this weekend, and I'll probably do it more often. So you guys want to check them out. So I had a busy weekend as well. I'm a close second. I was there for Rampage. I was for SummerSlam, and now here tonight, plus the WrestlePlug. So there we go. But yeah, I'm glad we're closing out the weekend. It was a nice weekend, and I'm ready to go to bed after this.
All right, and now we got Alex. Alex, any idea for predictions of people debuting tomorrow night? Male, female, tag teams?
None, absolutely none. I think WWE has done what they want to, and I don't feel we're going to see anything as of yet. They're going to hold it for a little bit more of a special time, especially with the heat still being on Rampage and the debut of one CM Pepsi Man Punk. As far as where you can find me, I am on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and I think that's it.
Epic Games, Steam.
Oh yeah, thank you. Hey, Epic Games and Steam at EctoGuy87, and you can find me on the weekend. I am the Weekend Warrior, of course. We can find me on Saturday Reacts, on Blowing Up Stream on Saturday nights, and Sunday Brunch every Sunday here at Love Wrestling. And as I said earlier today, make sure you tune in at 7 o'clock on my Twitch. I will be having just kind of a sit down and let's talk and let's see what's going to happen with the future. And, if you want to, just jump in, ask me any kind of questions. We can talk wrestling. We can talk video games. We can talk toys. We can talk football, which I have no bearing over. We can talk food, which I have a lot of bearing over. So, yeah, join me.
And just so we're clear, that's going to be on your personal Twitch at Ecto.
My personal Twitch, yes.
I just want to make sure we direct people right to you so you can get the viewers that you deserve.
Yes.
Because I know I'm going to be checking in on that show on Wednesday night.
It'll be a hoot.
And then you can find me. You can find me at edfries12584. You can find me on the War Report on Tuesday. You can find me on the Saturday Reacts. This week we'll be talking about the Reacts to CM Punk on Dynamite for the first time. We're going to be talking about Raw and SmackDown and NXT post Takeover and SummerSlam. We're definitely going to be talking Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair because there's a lot to be said about that situation, and we're going to hopefully have some more knowledge about it. We'll even talk to Sasha Banks if there's any news about that. If there's nothing and she wants to keep it private, we'll probably leave it be because we don't want to pester things like that. That being said, you can also find me modding on Tom Collihue's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Tom Collihu. He has multiple shows, but the spoiler warning shows are fantastic. I know Astrid's a viewer of the spoiler warning. If you want to hear some of that wrestling news throughout the week, you want to get it on Mondays and on Fridays, check out Tom. That being said, we have had a busy weekend here at Love Wrestling. We're all looking forward to having a night off tomorrow. Well, for us. I know that there's other Love Wrestling content going out tomorrow. I know that we should be checking out Josh's The Legacy of Kelly,
yes,
which debuted today, so that's fantastic. Make sure you check that out. I'm just looking to see if I can find what Love Wrestling has going on this week.
And if anything else, you can always check out lovewrestling.ca on Twitter and Facebook, YouTube,
I have
and
those.
Twitch.
Hold on. I have all
to
this
the
stuff.
shop to get a mug like Alex's mug,
Yep.
Yes, does Alex have them?
Oh, yep.
Alex has the precious mug.
Hey,
I want to get one of those.
do not go to our shop to find this mug. This was custom, but you can find a more professional mug on our shop.
And just one more time, because we love them, we want to shout out RK Athletics and Rich King. They make what we do possible. They make it so that we can do these lovely shows and have the banter with you guys. So again, thank you, RK Athletics 1 on Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. I know he was doing a TikTok the other day where he was trying to do workout style TikTok dances. He's fantastic. Check him out. Check us out at all the different places, including like Ashley ran a lot of them, but ratethispodcast.com/lovewrestlingca. And like I said, like Alex said, follow us on Twitter and find all the things because we're constantly posting content. I know Spencer's going to be interviewing somebody wonderful this week and releasing another wonderful interview. I know he has a Mind Behind this week. We got all kinds of stuff NWA related coming up because we got Empower and we've got NWA 73. With that being said, I've been Ed. That's Alex and Astrid. This has been Love Wrestling Reacts for Takeover 36. It's been a fantastic show. Have a good night, everybody, and love wrestling.